Most people don't realize they're approaching the first major investment milestone until it's already in there. Rearview mirror. You can be saving diligently, investing consistently, and doing everything right. Yet this quiet turning point tends to slip by completely unnoticed. But this moment marks the separation between people who forever feel like wealth is slipping through their fingers and those who finally see their money gain real, stoppable momentum. It's subtle, it's invisible at first, but it is absolutely life-changing. Do me a quick favor and hit that like button and subscribe so more people can find this video. Now, let's get into the milestone that quietly transforms everything. Think of this milestone as the moment your financial snowball finally starts rolling downhill by itself. You push and you push and you push month after month, year after year. Suddenly, one day, you don't have to push quite as hard. The weight of what you've built begins working in your favor. The milestone itself is simple enough to understand. It's the first year your investments earn more money on their own than you personally contribute. It sounds almost anticlimactic when you say it out loud, but in reality, this moment is the heartbeat of financial freedom. It's the moment when compounding becomes something you can actually feel, not just something you read about in a book. They're out there working, producing, multiplying, and accelerating your path forward. Let's make it concrete. Imagine you're investing $3,000 per year. That's about $250 a month. For many people, that requires some serious discipline. You're budgeting carefully, cutting back on small luxuries, skipping a few outings, and constantly wrestling with the temptation to spend. And yet, you consistently invest. Let's say your investments earn an average of 10% annually, which is similar to the long-term average of the S&P 500. Eventually, your portfolio will reach a point where a 10% return equals your yearly contribution. In this example, once your account hits $30,000, a 10% return from the market generates $3,000 in gains, the exact same amount you redepositing. This moment doesn't come with fireworks or a congratulatory email from your brokerage. You don't wake up to a message saying, "Congratulations, your wealth is now self-propelling." Instead, it just feels like any other day. But beneath the surface, something foundational has shifted. Your money is no longer waiting for you to feed it. It's starting to feed itself. The compounding engine that felt so sluggish and almost imaginary during those early years finally starts humming. Each additional dollar you invest still speeds it up, but the engine doesn't depend on you to run anymore. That's the tipping point. That is the milestone that changes everything. The strange thing is how silent this moment is. Most investors don't even know when they've passed it. Why? Because real market returns aren't neat and predictable. One year, you might see 22% growth. The next year, the market could drop 18%. Sometimes gains come in violent upward bursts. Sometimes they just simmer quietly. And sometimes they hide behind temporary losses that cloud your perception. Over time, these fluctuations blur together, making it difficult to pinpoint the exact year your investment earnings surpassed your contributions. But even if you can't pinpoint the exact date, the effect is unmistakable. You suddenly feel your portfolio growing faster than before. You check your account and realize last year's big jump was on T just because you deposited more. It was because your investments did the heavy lifting for you. You contribute and contribute, but the numbers barely seem to move. It feels like dropping water into a bucket with a hole in the bottom. And because the early years don't show much visible progress, it's natural for people to get discouraged. They wonder if they will ever see meaningful results. But crossing that first milestone shatters those doubts. It confirms that everything you've been doing, every dollar you saved instead of spent, every contribution you made instead of quitting was worth it. You suddenly see clear evidence that your money is growing independently of your own effort. And once you witness that firsthand, it becomes so much easier to trust the process and stay the course. Before this milestone, your progress feels pretty linear. You put money in, and your account balance goes up mostly because you're adding more money. It's like pushing a heavy boulder uphill, inch by inch. But then, something shifts. After this tipping point, the straight line of your progress starts to curve upward. It's subtle at first, almost unnoticeable, but it's real. The math changes. Your whole experience with money changes. You're no longer just dragging your future forward. You're standing behind something that has started to roll downhill on its own. And every single year, it rolls a little faster. This shift doesn't just happen on your statement. It transforms your mindset. See, most investors in the early stages see money as something they have to personally earn, save, and protect. But once you cross this line, you start thinking differently. You begin asking, how can I make my money work harder for me? Your portfolio stops being a bucket you have to fill and becomes a machine you can tune and optimize. You start to appreciate market volatility instead of fearing it. You hold on to your long-term positions instead of getting distracted by short-term noise. You understand risk on a much deeper level because you've seen how time smooths out the market's bumps. You stop thinking like a saver and start thinking like an owner. One of the best parts of reaching this point is how it redefines passive income. Everyone loves the idea of making money while they sleep, but honestly, in the beginning, it's not that exciting. Earning $120 a year on a $1,200 portfolio doesn't feel life-changing. But earning $3,000, $5,000, or even $8,000 in a year while you're still contributing the same amount as always, that hits differently. Suddenly, the numbers feel real. You start comparing them to your actual life expenses. You'll think, wow, my investments just paid for 3 months of my rent, or my portfolio just covered my car insurance for the whole year. And the big one, my investments just grew by more than my paycheck this month. These moments spark a whole new kind of motivation. They make the invisible visible. They make the abstract personal. Imagine you're working full-time, juggling bills, and trying your best to invest just a little bit each month. Saving that $250 isn't easy. It means saying no to things you want right now. But over time, the return on those sacrifices becomes crystal clear. Once your portfolio gets big enough that the market gains are bigger than your own contributions, those early sacrifices feel so worth it. You realize the market made more money in a few months than you managed to save in an entire year of disciplined budgeting. That realization is electrifying. It validates everything you've been working for. It changes how you feel about money forever. Another huge benefit is the emotional shield it creates. When your portfolio is small, a market drop feels personal. A 10% dip can feel like it just erased your last 4 or 5 contributions. It feels like wasted effort. But once your portfolio reaches a certain size, downturns don't hit the same way. It still stings, but it doesn't feel like a catastrophe. You understand that volatility is just part of the game. You start to see downturns as opportunities, not threats. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding strategically. And that's the real difference between investors who panic sell and those who build serious wealth over time. So many people fail at investing not because they picked the wrong stocks, but because they quit too early. They give up during those slow, boring early years before the magic of compounding really kicks in. They never reach that tipping point where investing becomes exciting and self-sustaining. Reaching this milestone is your proof that staying the course actually works. It creates a surge of momentum that reinforces your financial discipline more than any book or video ever could. And here is the most reassuring part. You don't need a high income to get there. You don't need to be a stock-picking genius or get lucky. You don't have to time the market or take on huge risks. All it takes is time, consistency, and enough patience to get through that slow beginning. Someone with a modest salary can hit this milestone just as surely as someone making 6 figures. It's not about how much you earn. It's about how long you stay in the game. It feels like you're running on a financial treadmill, going nowhere fast. If that sounds familiar, I need you to listen closely. The reason early investing feels so unrewarding is simple. The math is working against you at the start. That first $10,000 is an absolute grind. The next $10,000 comes a little faster, and the $10,000 after that, even quicker. See, at the beginning, your contributions do all the heavy lifting. But as time goes on, something magical starts to happen. Your contributions matter less and less, and the growth of your investments takes over. Eventually, you'll hit a point where your contributions are just a tiny fraction of your total growth. And that, my friends, is the goal. You want your money to work harder than you do. You want your future wealth to come from the unstoppable force of compounding, not from picking up extra shifts or pinching every penny. This is why tracking your progress is so incredibly important. Most people never even think to calculate when they'll hit a major milestone. So when it happens, they feel nothing. They miss out on celebrating a huge psychological victory. Without those small celebrations, investing just feels like a chore. But when you start tracking your contributions and comparing them to your investment returns, you begin to see the curve bending in your favor. You'll notice your portfolio earning $1,000 in a year, then $2,000, then $3,000. And then, one day, the moment hits. You'll look at your statement and realize, wait a minute, my money made more than I did this year. It's a subtle moment, but it is monumental. It changes everything. Hitting this milestone is the perfect time to take a step back and reevaluate your financial habits. Ask yourself, does my spending truly align with my long-term vision? Are my debts under control? Is the way my money flows each month helping me or holding me back? Once you experience the power of compounding firsthand, you naturally become more intentional with your money. You become protective of your future self. Your priorities shift. You stop wasting money on things that don't really improve your life, because you've seen how much more valuable every single dollar becomes when it's invested and put to work. Remember this, nobody just wakes up wealthy. Wealth isn't a lottery win. It creeps in quietly. It's built day by day, decision by decision, and year by year. Then one day, you'll check your portfolio and realize it no longer looks like that small struggling account you started with so long ago. It has matured. It's gained momentum. And it's finally working for you, not the other way around. That first big investing milestone, the moment your portfolio earns more than you, contributes the start of your transformation. It's not the finish line. It won't make you rich overnight. But it proves that the system works. It gives you the confidence to keep going. It completely redefines your relationship with money. Most importantly, it shows you that a brighter financial future is actually attainable. Not through luck, not through crazy risks, but through patience, discipline, and commitment. So if you're investing today, I want you to keep going. Your milestone is coming. The process might feel slow right now, but slow is not the same as ineffective. Slow is how compounding begins. Fast is how it ends. And once you cross that tipping point, once your money starts to outperform your own efforts, everything changes. If you made it this far in the video, drop a comment below so I know who's here building real financial momentum with me. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos just like this. Your future self will thank you.